Welcome back to Greg Plays Games. Today I have my top 10 personal favorite video games of all time, and my cat. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, thanks for checking out this video. I know it's been a minute since I've uploaded a video, but honestly, it's really just kind of been rumors kind of going around in the video game industry, not much actual tangible content to talk about in my mind. So we recently hit 500 subscribers on the channel. I normally would do something weird and special. Honestly, the milestone just kind of hit me before I kind of realized what had happened. But thank you if you've subscribed. Next goal is 1,000. I don't really follow the goals that closely. I'm just happy that you would even spend time watching any of this content. So appreciate you checking out this video. Let's get into my personal top 10 video games of all time. This is going to kind of just combine nostalgia as well as what I actually like spending my time playing. So at number 10, I have Super Mario Sunshine, originally on the GameCube. It is currently available on Nintendo Switch if you bought the 35th anniversary edition. It is just kind of Super Mario Sunshine was really the first Mario I gotten really into. I had a Nintendo 64 growing up, but I don't know, Super Mario 64, even at the time it came out, just didn't really connect with me. That Nintendo 64 controller was wild. Even at the time, it just didn't really make much sense, and it was just kind of difficult to play. And I don't know, for some reason that game just never really hit for me the same way that Super Mario Sunshine did. I think the visuals in Super Mario Sunshine were just such a massive leap forward from the Nintendo 64 that it was truly mind-blowing, especially the water. I don't know why, but as a kid, I was just obsessed with water and the way it looked in video games. I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's just one of those weird things. You just see a bunch of water, you just kind of want to jump in it and make a splash. I don't know. At number 9, I have another GameCube game. It is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That was really my introduction to The Legend of Zelda. We had Majora's Mask on our Nintendo 64, but that game was just so unnerving and creepy to play as a kid that it just wasn't really a game that I wanted to play. And we didn't have Ocarina of Time, and so Wind Waker was really it, and the art style really connected with me. The freedom of exploration was really groundbreaking. I thought same as in Mario Sunshine, to be honest. It just like the freedom of running around doing whatever you wanted. It was just really fun and really prevalent in Wind Waker, especially once you get the king of Red Lines, I think, or Red Line. I'm not sure what his name is right now, but I'm really hoping they release that on Nintendo Switch, just because I think it's a timeless game. I think it's really the only older Zelda that has held up to a modern standard and can connect with a modern audience. I've gone back and tried to play Ocarina of Time and some of those old top-down 2D Zeldas, and that formula just doesn't really work for me. Kind of really Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker being like my main loves of that franchise. So some of those other games just don't really gear the player experience to freedom in the same way. So I love Wind Waker. At number 8 is Mario Kart 8. This was a game I played a ton in college with my friends, with myself, played a ton with myself. And Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, as well as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch, just so fun. The art style is incredible. The graphics just look so crispy. The gameplay itself is crispy. I really like that it's just kind of standard Mario Kart. I know a lot of people love Double Dash. I just love the straight up Mario Kart aspect of it. It's just kind of no frills, just a really, really fun game, and have put a ton of time into it. At number 7 is Smash Brothers Ultimate. We're going Super Nintendo heavy here in the first 4 picks, but Smash Brothers Ultimate is just kind of the culmination of all the Smash Brothers. It would have been hard to have put any other Smash Bros ahead of this. I know 64 I played a ton, Melee I played a ton, Brawl not so much. I played a lot on the Wii U as well, but Ultimate, just like the roster, the music, the levels, just it's truly mind-blowing. The only other game that really kind of compares is Fortnite, which is kind of crazy to say, but there's just no other games that are compiling these characters and all this content in the same way. So those to me are like true innovators and true front runners as far as, you know, cross streaming characters and content. It's just really fun to jump in there. At number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey. Once again, sticking to Nintendo. I just, you know, I just love running around jumping as Mario. I love the customization in this game. The music phenomenal, levels are phenomenal. It's just a ton of fun. They really strike on a lot of nostalgia too when you get into the later parts of the game, and it's just a blast. It's just a ton of fun. It is easily one of my favorite Switch games. It kind of really, you know, went neck to neck with Breath of the Wild for me, but at the end of the day, Super Mario Odyssey, one of my favorite games of all time. I collected all the moons. Not a game I would necessarily go back and play, but I just remember the way it made me feel when I beat it and when I spent my time with it. And I just kind of was like, I don't know if anything will surpass this. And to this day, there really has not been another Nintendo experience that kind of even comes close. At number 5, we're finally stepping out of the world of Nintendo. At number 5, we're finally stepping outside the world of Nintendo. And my number 5 favorite game of all time is Grand Theft Auto 4. You know, I was really kind of going back and forth between Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, but I just think the story of Grand Theft Auto 4 and then the subsequent DLCs just really kind of connected with me so much more than Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought Grand Theft Auto 4 leaned a lot more into satire than Grand Theft Auto 5. There's also just something about the Euphoria engine and the way NPCs interacted with Nico Bellic and just his dialogue and the way the cars moved was just kind of, I don't know. I feel like they've started to get more grounded in realism. And when you go back and play some of those older games like Vice City, you know, San Andreas, which I've talked about on the channel, check out the review. There's just a different level of like fun involved, and Grand Theft Auto 5 just took it in a different direction. And not saying that it's bad or that I didn't enjoy it, but it just is it's going in a different direction now, and it's still satire, but it's a lot more grounded in realism than some of these earlier games. And Grand Theft Auto 4 was kind of the bridge between, and it still had some of that arcadey fun. It still had all these really, you know, wacky cheat codes you could use, and the characters were just a little off the wall. And you know, Grand Theft Auto 4 continues that, but Grand Theft Auto 5 continue that, but Grand Theft Auto 4 just the timing of it, so a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. But I also just really love Nico Bellic running around as him, beating people up, pushing them down the stairs, you know, using the swing glitch to send your car flying across the map. It was just a ton of fun, and it just, you know, it just was kind of the perfect formula to have a blast playing that game. It was just kind of the right age, the right time, because I was a little too I was kind of past the window for San Andreas, and so Grand Theft Auto 4 was really the first Grand Theft Auto I really played a ton of, and it was a blast. I remember growing up, it was you, as a kid, you just wanted to get your hands on a Grand Theft Auto so bad, but you know, you had to convince your parents to let you play a game, and then they're like, oh well, why is it rated M? And there's nudity and sexual references, drug use, gun violence. So that's a tough sell when you're about, you know, 9 or 10. That's a hard sell. So I played a lot of Simpsons Hit and Run growing up, which actually honestly should probably be on this list. You know, maybe that would be here if I never got my hands on Grand Theft Auto 4, but I absolutely love Simpsons Hit and Run. That's a nice little honorable mention. But Grand Theft Auto 4, my number 5 favorite video game of all time. At number 4 on the list, a lot of 4s and 5s in that last one, but it is going to be Animal Crossing New Horizons. By far my most played Nintendo Switch game. Took a lot of people through the pandemic. I personally grew up playing Animal Crossing. I love that series. It just is a ton of fun. Like, you can play it for extended sessions. You can hop in for 10 minutes here and there. It's just got a lot of heart and humor and character, and there's just not a ton of games that are like it. It's truly unique in that sense. There's now probably a lot more games that kind of copy it, but well, when you play it, there's nothing that really compares to it. I probably put about 800 hours in the Switch version, and I really liked the new arts, or the new graphical style that they started to bring into the Switch. Just having more power on their hands, like you can really see the intricacies of like the wood paneling The clothing has texture. It's just really impressive, I thought, from a visual standpoint. I do think that there was, a lot of improvements they could have made to the game and chose not to. It was interesting. I really did feel like they could have taken that game live service and done it successfully and continued to add to that game, throughout the lifespan of the Nintendo Switch and had an audience, for the whole time. But maybe in a way it's a good thing. It was kind of its own thing, and it had a moment, and then it passed, and Nothing Gold can stay. And I really enjoyed my time with that game, and I got a ton of playtime out of it. I far exceeded my money spent on that one. So nothing but good stuff to say. Have a lot of content on the channel from really, that was kind of what really kind of pushed me over the edge to start my YouTube channel, was my love for that game, and seeing all these other people get into content creation. That was kind of the catalyst for me, especially just kind of being stuck at home, having nothing better to do. So love Animal Crossing. At number 3, I have EA Skate. I had a really hard time deciding between, which one to pick out of the trilogy, Skate 1, 2, or 3. But at the end of the day, I went with the original Skate. It was a video game I had bought for the Xbox 360 before I even owned an Xbox 360, because I was so excited about this video game. I grew up playing Tony Hawk, and skateboarding, it was kind of, one of those things where Tony Hawk gets you into skateboarding, then you're into skateboarding, and your only option is to play Tony Hawk. And it just, the arcadeness of it just really didn't resonate with me once I started skateboarding, because skateboarding is so much about self-expression and creativity and style, and Tony Hawk didn't really give you much room to really do that. And then this game, EA Skate, announced that they were going to be a more realistic, grounded skateboarding game with innovative control schemes. And you had to learn to play the game just like you had to learn skateboarding. And I fell in love with it before I even got my hands on it to play. I remember playing the demo on a PlayStation 3 inside GameStop and just being like, I don't even know how to do a trick, but I cannot wait to play this game. And I went with the original Skate because that was the only one that really stayed rooted in its realism. They had some crazy Mega Ramp stuff here and there, but for the most part, it was really grounded in reality. It didn't go too off the walls like Skate 2 and Skate 3 started to do with the Hall of Meat and the player movement systems for kind of gliding around and just doing these eternal bails and just trying to break as many bones as possible, and changing the way that the board kind of moves from you had different difficulty modes. You had easy, normal, hardcore. So I'm really excited about the new game that's coming out. I'm a little disappointed to see that they're leaning even more into the arcade stuff, just because this game's success really stemmed from its realism and its roots within the skateboarding community. And honestly, you don't really bite the hand that feeds, but it's crazy that we didn't get a Skate 4 before now. Across those 3 games, this is probably my most played video game franchise, just because you can still to this day go pick up any of these 3 games and have a blast, especially if you're a fan of skateboarding. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the new one. I don't really connect with some of the new skate sims like Skater XL and Session. They're just not the same. There's just a simplicity to the controls of Skate that make it just easy enough to get into, but just difficult enough that you can't just pick up and play. You still have to learn it. And so I really love Skate because of that, and really excited to see what the new game has. My number 3 video game of all time. At number 2 is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I actually just yesterday started but going back into my save to kind of go back into the depths and to finish up some of my shrines that I never did. I had to deliberately pump the brakes on this game just because I didn't want to beat all of it all at once because I was enjoying it so much. I really love the new mechanics that they put in the game. I know a lot of people have been talking about how Breath of the Wild is a better game. Of course, you're entitled to that. I personally just think this is the same but bigger. I don't love the sages and how much screen they take up. I wish that there was I think that the Nintendo Switch really needs to have a successor come out, and we need to see technical improvements for some of these games to really reach their true pinnacle of performance. There were at times at this game where that kind of took me out of it, but for the most part, it was just so visually breathtaking. The vibes in these Zelda games are unmatched, like from Wind Waker to Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. Just that kind of watercolor art style, the music, the exploration. There's just no other games that can really compete with this level of freedom and player decision making, from puzzle solving to exploration to, you know, the fits you got on in Zelda. It's just a ton of fun. I love the customization in these games. The story as well really blew me away. I won't say too much just because there will be people who haven't played this yet, who might be picking up Breath of the Wild first, who are just getting a Nintendo Switch. But I really love the stories in these games, and they're not, you know, perfect, but it really blew me away from an emotional standpoint. I was not expecting it to hit the way it did. I really love Tears of the Kingdom, and to me, it surpassed Breath of the Wild, even though I haven't reached the same level of playtime. But you know, Breath of the Wild came when the first Switch came out, so you had so much more time to spend with Breath of the Wild. And Tears of the Kingdom's kind of coming in at the end here, but phenomenal game, definitely worth your time. You could probably play this without playing Breath of the Wild, but I would definitely recommend going and playing Breath of the Wild before you play Tears of the Kingdom, just to kind of see some of the changes to the level. I think from a story standpoint, it doesn't really matter, but it's just Breath of the Wild is very much worth playing. But for me, Tears of the Kingdom, my favorite Switch game, for sure. At number one, my favorite video game of all time is Red Dead Redemption 2, which came out in about 2017 or 2018, along with God of War and Lost Game of the Year. Still to this day, I don't understand that, because I think both the gameplay and story in Red Dead Redemption 2 straight up drastically exceed that of God of War. I don't think God of War did anything to innovate from a gameplay perspective. Like, I honestly, that is one that really confuses me. If you disagree, please drop a comment, because, you know, it is a great story, don't get me wrong, but so is Red Dead 2, and the attention to detail in Red Dead 2 is just unmatched. I mean, unfathomable stuff. When it gets cold, your horse's balls shrink. That's crazy. Who is doing that? Someone is researching horse testicles just to make sure that they're at the right height when a fucking wind blows through. That's nuts.
That's a 10.
That's fucking crazy. So honestly, just because of the horse balls alone, this game really took the top of the list. But the story is just an emotional roller coaster. Arthur Morgan is so, you know, just, you feel for the guy, you're rooting for him, you're playing as him. You know, you get to see familiar faces like Dutch van der Linde and John Marston, of course, as well as Jack Marston, who's a little bitch even in this game. So Red Dead was really one of my favorite games of all time too, and then Red Dead 2 just really kind of took things to another level. It is just mind-blowing stuff. Like, when you get punched and you fall in the mud, your character is muddy. You have to brush your horse, you feed him carrots. It's I mean, some of that stuff, it sounds ridiculous, like feeding your horse carrots, of course, but like, I don't know, the when you're in the environments of this world, it just feels so real. There's so much atmosphere. There's just so much to do as well. I've spent over 300 hours in this game. Easily my most played game on my PlayStation 4. It's not even close. And the online kind of sucked, but when you just kind of take it for the story, it is untouchable. It kind of stands on its own in the world of video games in my mind, and it's all really been downhill since I beat that game. There's just not really been much else that have compared to it. So those are my top 10 video games of all time. There's a lot of Nintendo stuff. I just kind of grew up playing Nintendo and love the magic of Nintendo games, but Rockstar as well. They just make games that you just want to live in forever. And, you know, I still find myself going back to Red Dead 2 or to Grand Theft Auto 5, or, you know, I started replaying the older Grand Theft Autos. So San Andreas is another game on my list. to play that I've just never really spent much time with. So there's so many amazing video games. Those are 10 of my favorite. Kind of a theme, a lot of them single player, story driven. EA Skate was kind of the one outlier, and that just had a lot to do with growing up skateboarding. So let me know what your guys' favorite video game of all time is. If you want to drop a top 10 list, by all means, feel free. But thank you to anyone who stuck out the end of this video. I know it was a little bit all over the place with rambling, but I just wanted to get some content on the channel. It's been so long. I wanted to make sure I said thank you guys for 500 subs. I really do truly appreciate anyone who would take time out of their day to watch a moron ramble on the internet. So thank you very much, and catch you in the next one.